All right. Here we go. If you find any error, can everyone see my screen?
No, not yet.
Oh, you can't? Okay, let me see. Oh, boy. Don't fail me now.
You're good.
All right. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
All right. Listen, I don't want anyone to hold the creator responsible for any errors that I make. If I make an error in my teaching, I want you to have I want to give you permission to correct me and tell me if you find something that's not what is supposed to have been said. I don't want to make the error of teaching anything. And I do my very best. But as I stated, as humans, we can make mistakes and we can make an error sometimes. Sometimes we get super excited about the things that we're learning and we overlook some things. So by no means at all do I want you to feel like you can't tell me when I make an error, okay? But I do my very best not to make an error. I don't want the Most High to be held responsible for any errors that I make. So, and to diminish his teaching in any type of way. This week we've learned about, the tribulations and the distress of a family with multiple things. I mean, Yaakov has experienced losing his son Yosef. Prior to that, his daughter was raped. Prior to that, his son slept with his wife. Prior to that, his wife had died. Prior to that, his brother was after him. Prior to that, his uncle, took advantage of him, just all different types of things are happening in the life of Yaakov. And we're seeing some of the results of the way that the family is being, raised in the house, okay, or in the tent in their case. And so we're taking a look at that and we're trying to figure out how does this, relate to our situation. And that's what we should be looking for in the Torah. You should be looking for the connections. And we're not trying to do just biblical stories like Sunday school lessons where you find out that Joseph, his garment was taken away from him and then they throw him in a pit and there was a famine in the land and, so the story goes, okay? This week's Torah portion is called Miquates, and it means the end, okay? And of course, the Most High is always telling us the end from the beginning. He shares with us what things are going to be. And that's what makes him who he is. It's because Yah is a revealer of secrets, and he's a revealer of that which is the truth. I wanted to first begin by telling you that the Creator says that he is the one who is forming light, and he's creating darkness. And I will make well-being, meaning I will make shalom, and I create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. And that's in Yeshayahu chapter 45, verse number 7. Everything that we've been reading up to this point in terms of the life of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and all the wars, all the problems, all the births, everything is because Yah has caused it to come about, okay? Even this idea of this famine and what the children of Israel are going to experience, the Creator is responsible for that. I was going to title the message "The Lies," okay, because there's a whole bunch of lies that have been said and spoken through this in particular portion of the scripture. But I've been moved to say the positive thing about it, which is the truth. There's always opposites. There's the lie, there's the truth, there's good, there's evil, right? There's plenty, there's, abundance, there's famine, there's the low, not now versus the never. There is the shalom versus the shalem. It's always the opposite, okay? So this idea is trying to find out what the truth is. In the end, the Creator's interested and us understanding what the truth is. And the only way that that can happen is by us going through a process, okay, which we're going to talk about today, because that's the end. The end is that the truth of who the creator is going to be revealed. The end is the truth of who we are as a people will be revealed in the end. The truth will be revealed about what's the difference between righteousness and wickedness. And so it takes time, okay? I use this picture right here because it's going to reflect our teaching. It's like the Most High uses famine, and he uses bad stuff. He uses distress. He uses death. He uses whatever he has to in order to get our attention. So in particular teaching, we're going to find out what that literally means. Okay. I don't know if it's going to be a short teaching. I don't know if it's going to be a long teaching. I don't know. Okay. But we want to know the truth. So Joseph recognized his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. Okay. So it was his identity was hidden. It was concealed from them, remembering the dreams he had about them. Joseph said to them, "You are spies. You've come to spot out our country's weaknesses." Okay. When I first read this, I thought, what is trying to be communicated here? What is the creator asking or is trying to show us about this in particular idea of being spies? Okay. The spies here means that you are what they would call, you're literally under cover. Okay. That means that you're hiding something. Okay. All right. I want you to keep this idea, because when something is hidden, right, is like you don't know the truth about it until it's revealed. Okay. So what he's saying to them, and then basically he talked to them very, somebody tell me, in what tone did he talk to his brothers when he saw them? Was it nice? Was it comforting? What was it?
Yeah.
Forceful.
He was talking to them very, very forcefully and very harsh. Okay. When he's speaking to them in this way, in this harsh way, okay, I'm going to bring out a couple of points. There's a reason why he was talking to them with very harshly. Okay. And he was talking to them in a way that was provocative, right? He's doing this because of the dream that he had. Okay. The dream that he had is that they were all in a field. And in that field, what were they doing in that field? If you can remember the dream that he had, what were they doing? The first dream that he had. They were binding stalks of grain. Okay. When you're binding something, do you do it softly? Do you do gently? Or what kind of pressure do you need to use?
You have to do it forcefully. You have to.
Yeah. You have to, in order to keep it together, you have to force it. Okay. So that's the reason why I'm going to put the pieces together for us. That's the reason why he's talking to them harshly, because it said he's remembering the dreams. He had two dreams. Okay. So the first dream he had, they were all binding their sheaves and their stalks of grain together. Okay. So there was two dreams, right? So the first one, he has the stalks of grain and they were binding them, right? Okay. He mentions this word here, the weakness. Okay. And in the Hebrew, it really is talking about to uncover the nakedness. That's what it means. That word right there is talk about arwath, and arwath means to uncover the nakedness. Okay. So why is he saying uncover their nakedness?
To discover and realize the deficiencies in the land in terms of the famine.
Yes, it's the famine, but why is he mentioning to uncover the nakedness of the land? Why is he mentioning, since he said he remembered the dreams, right? And he's talking to them in a harsh manner. I'm getting everyone to think. Remember, this is not Sunday school. This is thinking. So he's talking to them in this way, and he's bringing out the fact that you guys are spies, you guys are liars, and you're hiding something, and you're here to uncover the nakedness of the land, just like you uncovered the nakedness of who?
Of him, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
of him. That's the reason why he uses this term. You're spies, and you've come to uncover. You've come to spot out the country's weaknesses. Okay. So in our understanding of the Torah, to uncover someone's nakedness in the Torah is what? Is it permitted? Is it allowed? What is it?
It's not allowed.
It's not allowed. When somebody takes advantage of a woman, right? He uncovers her nakedness. When Noah's son Ham, he uncovered the nakedness of his mother, right? When a man takes advantage, like I said, when a man takes advantage of a virgin and he rapes her out in the field, he has humbled her. He has uncovered her nakedness, okay? Which is a clear violation of the Torah, right? But Joseph is so wise. He is smart. This man he's on it, okay? And he's literally telling him, like, he's putting out clues. So I don't want you to read the words. When you read the instructions, or you read the words of the living Elohim, Yah has messages inside of the message. And it's our job to go and look for the message so you can hear it. So we find out about nakedness in this, okay, which we know this is a violation of the Most High. In Leviticus 18, he tells us very explicitly to never uncover the nakedness of anybody, whether it's in your family, a close relative, or anyone. So basically what it is that what he's telling them is that I'm going to give you a clue that you shamed me. That's what you did to me. You shamed me. And what you want to do is you're going to try to come out here and discover and do the same thing. He's talking about their character. Okay. And who is he talking to? He's talking to the brothers. How do you say brother in Hebrew?
Aki.
Yeah, that's Aki, my brother. Brothers are called an Ak. Okay. And what Joseph was trying to do with his brothers, he was going to put his brothers under examination. This in particular Torah portion is about examination. Okay. It's not just the examination of the brothers, but it's the examination about us. I want you to get a pen and paper, and I want you to be honest with yourself today. Okay. That you and I are going to go under examination like they went under examination. That's the reason why Yah is sharing this story with us, because he's letting us know that just like Joseph went under examination, he put his brothers under examination. I'm letting you know that I'm going to put you under examination because there's something about you that you need to bring forth. Okay. So we need to find out what the truth is. Okay. The word examination in Hebrew is called bakan. Bakan. Okay. The bakan. And it means to test, and it means to examine, and it means to go through a process in law called discovery. Okay. When you do discovery, and of course, I'm not a lawyer, but I've tried some arbitration cases that when you go through a process of discovery, you're looking for that which is hidden. Okay. So this is what Joseph is looking for. He's looking to send his brothers through a process of discovery. I want to find out if you really are who you say you are. And you just can't tell me anything. Okay. I don't want you to say anything to me. I want to test you. And this is the idea that we all need to understand. Even when you and I are talking to other people, people will tell you whatever they want to tell you. But it's our responsibility to always test everything and put everything under examination, which they would call under scrutiny. I need to find out what's up. Okay. So I want to talk about a brother right quick, because we're talking about his brothers who are going to go under examination. All right. Brother is, it consists of two letters in the Hebrew language, which is an aleph and a ket. Okay, so we got aleph right here, and then we have a ket. Okay, and that's called an ach, A-C-H. Okay, that's an ach. Okay, if I want to say a sister, I'm just going to put a O-T on it, akoth. Okay, so she's still like a brother, but she's feminized. She is a female brother. That's all she is. She's a female brother. Okay, and she should be treated in the same manner. Okay, and I'm going to explain to you what an ach is. Those of you who've been following my teachings, you would understand what is an aleph? What does it represent?
Strength.
It's the strength of a what?
Ox.
Of an ox. Okay, so remember these ideas. The strength of an ox, that's an aleph. Okay, right? It's very, very powerful. Okay, and what is the ket?
Wall.
That's a wall. Okay, so when we put these two letters together, what we have is a strong wall. Okay, the strength of a wall, a strong wall. And what are strong walls supposed to be used for?
Protection.
Would you say, Dr. Uret?
Protection.
Protection. Thank you, Dr. Kavika. Is protection, and also, which brings about the separation, but also too, with separation and division, and strong wall of protection. And you're protecting that which is on the inside from that which is on the outside. That's the idea. Okay, a strong wall of defense. Did Yosef's brothers defend him?
No.
No. So were they really acting like brothers to him?
No.
No. So this is a problem in the family. Yah's talking about the problems in the family. This is one of the biggest problems that you find in the nation of Israel, is that they're not there to protect, not protecting each other. I can't begin to tell you how many times over the last few days that I've been verbally assaulted by people who claim to be Israel. Verbally assaulted. You understand? No respect by young nor old. Okay. So no one has really been acting like a brother, no one, or a sister, a strong wall of protection. Okay. That's the desire of the creators, to let us know that I've put you into a family that I want you to protect each other. Okay. So there's two individuals that are brothers that are mentioned in our Torah portion this week. Okay. The first one is Reuven, and the second one is Yehuda. Reuven was supposed to be the firstborn, and he was from his father. Okay. He's the Bakor. And this guy here, Yehuda, is the fourthborn. All right. So we're going to dig into a little bit more about who they are and what they were supposed to do. Okay. So now we know that a brother is, and a sister is, a strong wall of protection, a strong wall of defense against that which is on the outside, to protect that which is on the inside, which is the family, because it's the family that dwells inside of the tent. Okay. It's the tent. Always remember that. And the tent represents the family. So you and I need to get this concept down. So within the family, there is what you would call distress. And as we saw, there was chaos. Okay. And there is, when you got chaos, you have confusion. Okay. But also too, we see a great evil. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing a great evil that's in the house, what's in the family. Okay. Let Yah speak to us today. Have any questions, make sure you ask, because this is important. This is an important lesson. So let's deal with Reuven. As mentioned, Reuven is called the Bakar. Okay. Bakar. Okay. The Bet, the Ket, and the Resh. Okay. So a Bakar is what you would call the firstborn. And they are called the choice, or the choicest. Okay. They're the choice. Okay. I told you that we have to go under not Bakar, but you have to go under Bakan. Okay. So Bakar and Bakan are very similar. The only difference is those two last letters, which is a noon and a resh. Okay. Right. So the noon has to do with the seed. Okay. And the resh has to do with the head, which is the first. Change my color so you can really see it, which is the first. Okay. Right. So the Bakan, remember, is what? Let's talk examination. I need to find out whether or not this seed is literally going to be the first in the choice, which means it's supposed to be the best out of everything because it's supposed to be the strongest. It's supposed to be the most reliable. Okay. Because when a seed is at its best and its strongest, it has the ability, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about ability to continue. And not only the ability to continue, but the ability to thrive and to bring about more of its kind. Okay. So you're always looking for the best seed. You're always looking for the best. And that's what the creator asked for. I'm looking for the best seed. I'm looking for the best animal. I'm looking for the best kind. I'm looking for the best of the wine. I'm looking for the best. And so when he looks for the best, it has to go through this idea of examination. It has to go through a process of testing. Okay. So you put these things in your bucket. Okay. So Reuven is supposed to be this. Okay. Well, what we found in our portion, which I'm going to show you, is that this seed, the one who's supposed to be the head. Let me see. Something happened. Someone wants to get in. This seed that's supposed to be the best. Can you see my screen, you guys? Let me show it to you. There you go. This seed that's supposed to be the best, supposed to be the strongest, supposed to have the most vigor, the one that's supposed to be reliable, still was unchanged. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example. In our example, in chapter number 42, they said to each other, and this is in context, Joseph just threw everybody in jail, right? He said, you guys are spies. I don't trust you. You got to prove to me by Pharaoh's life whether or not you're a spy or not. So they ended up going to jail, all of them, okay? And they said to each other, we are in fact guilty concerning our brother, talking about what they did to Joseph. This is what came to their mind, okay? And let me just pause right here for a second. So when they talk about we are in fact guilty, right? And that word guilty right there means asham. Okay. Asham means guilt. Like you have your word in English called ashamed. This is where they get it from. They get it from the Hebrew word asham, means guilt. When you have guilt, you feel ashamed. Okay. So asham, it'd be easy for you to remember. Asham is Hebrew and ashame is English. The English word gets its word from this word, meaning guilt. When you feel guilty, you feel ashamed. Okay. So now they're feeling ashamed because of the asham, the guilt. They're feeling guilty. 9 times out of 10, we don't begin to start questioning ourselves and our motives and who we are until we get into trouble. It wasn't until they went to prison that they begin to feel some guilt. Okay, so the Most High has allowed this to happen through the wisdom of Joseph to bring them into prison. The reason why he puts them in prison is to remind them of what?
What they've done.
What they did to him. He threw them in a pit. You understand? Separated them from all living to be by themselves. Yah's giving us a clue. When I separate you and I put you in a position where there's going to be some distress now, you understand? When there's distress, then you and I will be able to feel our guilt. This is why he sent us into exile, so you can start feeling some type of guilt. If you're being examined and proven whether or not you understand what you've done, you got to be put in a position to challenge you and to challenge your mind and challenge your motivations and challenge your past. Yah's not letting anybody get away with nothing. This is the reason why he's brought upon this famine. Yah had a plan before they even had a plan. He knew this is something I have to get out of this family. This is something that we have to address. Okay. So you don't get to feel anything when you're walking around free and you don't, nothing ever happened. You think you're getting away with something. But Yah's not going to allow us to get away with the Asham. There's forgiveness for Asham. In the Hebrew, there are like several different types of offerings. I didn't want to go through all of them, but this is one of the 5, okay? Meaning a guilt offering, okay? Bringing it to your attention. Listen what they said. They said he was in distress. So that's the purpose of them being in jail, is to cause them to feel what he felt. When you and I are in a situation and things happen bad to us and Yah puts us in any type of distress, is to get our attention. He said he was in distress and he pleaded with us. They're talking about Yosef, why they're in jail. We saw it and we wouldn't listen. They didn't tell us that in the last Torah portion when they threw him in the pit. It didn't make no mention of what he went through. It didn't say he was crying out to them, but now we know. When he was crying out, what were they doing? What were they doing?
They were just listening to him and not having any pity
They had
whatsoever.
no compassion. But what were they doing? Why they were sitting there? What were they doing? Right here, I just put it right here. Here in Hebrew, what are they doing?
A call.
What is a call? What is a call? They were eating. They were having a meal. They were breaking bread, having a meal together. While he's in distress and he's pleading and they wouldn't listen. That's why this distress has come upon us now. So now they're starting to acknowledge something when they're putting to a position where now they're feeling some distress. Reuven answered them, because we're talking about Reuven, right? It's interesting that the Creator has mentioned him. He didn't mention Levi, Shimon, Gad, Asher, Naphtali. He only mentioned 2 individuals that we've been hearing the whole time about Reuven and Yehuda. And it's for a reason. What does Reuven's name mean?
Welcome.
To see a son. Yah is telling us, I need you to see a son. The son that he's talking about is his son, which we're going to get into. His son is Yisrael. This is coming. He's one of the sons of Yisrael, but we as a people, as Yisrael, as his son, I need you to see a son. I need you to look at Reuven. I need you to see him. I need you to see that he's unchanged. I need you to see what kind of person he is. I want you to see that he's not worthy to be even called the firstborn. Why? Because it says Reuven answered them. He said, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you, don't wrong the boy? Now he wants to play big brother. Now he wants to play the role. But check it out. When he spoke these words, it's after the fact. He says, don't wrong the boy. Again, when I looked at it, it didn't use a lo, it used an all, not now. Yeah, he confessed. Didn't I tell you guys? He's the after effect guy. After everything went wrong, now he's gonna, do you see the weakness in this? All this could have been avoided if he would have did a low, and he didn't do a low. He did it all. He did a not now. Don't harm the boy, not now. Not never, not now. As strong as he was, and as being the leader of the family, He didn't have this in him about never harm this boy. It was not now. He said the same thing that he said when he told him the first time, don't do it, not now. Same, he's unchanged. He's still unchanged. But now he's trying to pass it, but you wouldn't listen. You wouldn't hear it. Now comes the reckoning for his blood. Well, that's really convenient. Yah wants us to see Reuven. He wants us to see whether or not you and I, as the firstborn of Yahweh, are acting like this guy right here. Are you a never or a not now? You should be a low when it comes to doing wrong and hurting your brother. He wasn't a brother to him. He might as well have been a stranger. So he was unchanged, but also too, he's unstable. Listen to this. See this son. Reuben said to his father in context when they went back and they got the grain and they told their father everything that happened. And, you know, Yaakov was like, Israel was like, well, why'd you tell him you had a brother? You know, why'd you guys go through that? He said, no, the man kept asking us. So now they went back home and there's still a whole bunch of distress. There's just still a whole bunch of chaos in Israel's house. Joseph sent them back to cause the chaos. Remember, they went to their father the first time and they were cowards. So they gave the garment to somebody and brought it. Is this your son's garment? So now they're forced to have to talk to their father. Now they're forced to have to bring out stuff. Now they're forced. Could you imagine the tension? Could you imagine the guilt that they were feeling like, man, what's going on? But when we look at Reuven, he's unchanged. He's unstable. Look what his father said. He said to his father, if I don't bring him back, because Joseph had asked, bring your brother back. When you next time, if you want some more grain, you got to bring your brother back. Okay, which he's going to use him for a prop. He says, you can kill my two sons, my own two sons, you can kill them. This is what Reuven said as a proposition to his father, as a proposal. If I don't bring Benjamin back to you, you can kill my two sons. So what he's willing to do is to do something. Is killing his sons going to solve the problem? Does this sound something that's reasonable?
No.
No. Who would, after all the pain and anguish that Israel felt about losing his sons, why would this man say, you can kill my two sons?
Deflection.
Yes. Guilt, right? This is who he is. He's reflecting his true character. But also, too, you can see the reason, and also, too, in the future about Reuven and how they do kill their sons. They're part of the tribes of people that were offering their sons up as offerings to people. That's that weakness, that's that instability, okay? So he's saying something unreasonable to his father. And he said, put him in my care. Okay, all right, yeah, right. You're willing to kill your own sons, but you want me to put my son in your care? He said, I will return him to you. No, you won't. Look what his father said. But Yisrael replied, my son will not go down with you. His brother is dead and he is left alone. If anything were to happen to him while traveling with you, you would bring my gray hair down to the Sheol with grief, meaning I'm not putting my son in your care. You're willing to kill your own two sons. How can I depend on you? You've already slept with one of my wives. You've already allowed my other son something to happen to him. Israel was feeling things. He knew what it was. Why? Because those superior in vigor and power, you are unstable. This is what Yisrael said to his son later on in chapter 49 before he died. Your superiority will end because you climbed into your father's bed and you defiled it. He climbed onto my concubine's couch. You can't come back from that. There's some things, you guys, that if we do, that some things you won't recover from. I know the Christians tell you that you're going to be forgiven for everything and nothing's going to happen to you. No, some things you're going to do, you're not going to recover from it. You make some bad decisions, you're not going to recover from it. You understand? You make a mistake, you got to deal with it. Just like they have to deal with, they got to deal with, you and I are going to have to deal with what we have to deal with, period. And Israel, in context, was telling his son that in the latter days, your superiority will end, meaning you're going to lose all power, all vigor. Doesn't matter how strong you are. You made a decision that's going to cost you. And these decisions that we make cost us. He's supposed to be the firstborn. Okay. But who is Yah's firstborn? The firstborn is Yahweh's son. Okay. Then you are to tell Pharaoh, Yahweh says, Yisrael is my firstborn son. I have told you to let my son go in order to worship me, but you have refused to let him go. Well, then I will kill your firstborn son. So the Creator really cares about his firstborn son. The Creator doesn't want his firstborn son to lose their right as a firstborn son. He doesn't want his firstborn son to be unstable. He doesn't want his firstborn son to be unchanged in their mind. He doesn't want his firstborn son to be a all type of person, not now. He wants his firstborn son to be a low when it comes to evil, never to do anything that's wrong. And so Yah is in the process of developing us because we're his son. You see? That's why this is brought out to us, because Yah's saying, in order for you to do what I need you to do, you're going to have to go through the changes. Okay. But why? Why? Why does the Creator say these things? He says it because he's interested in finding out who will champion my cause against the wicked. Reuben had an opportunity to champion the cause of Yah by not going along with the wickedness of his brothers, but he didn't. You understand? That's why. That's what the my is. Okay? Who will do it? Why is Yah asking us this? Why did he choose us as the firstborn son? He chose us because we are supposed to be the strength, and you and I are the ones who are supposed to champion his cause against the wicked. Not for them, but to be against them. Okay? Who on Zoom right now will stand up for me against evildoers? Are you going to lay down with an evildoer? Are you going to go and hang out with the evildoers? Are you going to come on now? Yah is against the wicked. He has a cause and a purpose against evildoers. Somebody got to stand up and say what Yah says. And that's what we're doing. But remember, are you the who here? Are you going to champion his cause? Are you going to stand up for me against people say, well, he doesn't need us? Of course he doesn't need us. But he's asking you to do this. I'm asking you to stand up for me against evildoers. And you are. How are you doing it? You're guarding the commandments. You're keeping the Shabbat. You're not sitting around with people who hate the Creator. You're not at the table with them rejoicing in their holidays. Why? Because you are Elohim. That's what he said. New Testament, they try to distort this and they try to tear this down. Tell you that you're not an Elohim. You are. And Elohim doesn't mean the power of powers. It means that you get your power in order to be a judge. So you could champion and stand up. All of you are the sons of the Most High Elohim. That is a great responsibility as a firstborn. To be his sons, his daughters, sons including females. You are Elohim. That's who you are. They want to tell you you're a regular human being. That's true, but you're not regular. You are Elohim. You are sons and daughters of the Most High Yah. You are required to stand up and champion his cause. You are to be against the wicked. You are to be against that which is evil. That's your job. You understand? When he says about you, he's not just talking about an individual. He's talking about you plural. And how do you say you plural in Hebrew? You say atim. If it was just by itself, an individual would be atah for a male. Okay. If it was female, it'd be at by itself. Okay. That's female. That's how you say it. At, not at, at. Atah, at. Okay. And atim means plural. So you can see the aleph and the two tavs there. Okay. So he's talking about a group of us. All right. So you are Elohim. That's who you are. And you are my sons. You are my firstborn. You are to serve me. Okay. And he asked this question within that same text about us being Elohim. He asked the question, how long will you, not individual, a group of you, because you're Elohim, how long will you, plural, go on judging unfairly, favoring the wicked? You see, we don't want this. We want to say that it's not our job. Remember, they told you don't judge? No, that's a lie. If you are Elohim, you are to judge, and you're supposed to judge fairly, not unfairly, because you're favoring the wicked. You can see something that's going wrong, but you won't say nothing because you won't stand up against evildoers, and you will not champion Yahweh's cause. Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. That's what I want. I want righteousness and judgment to them. Do what's right. Uphold the rights of the wretched and the poor, and rescue the destitute and the needy, and deliver them from the power of the wicked. That's the job of an Elohim. You see? So, irregardless to us being in exile, that doesn't change the fact that you and I, Atem, are Elohim. You have to deal fairly. You cannot favor the wicked. And who are the wicked? The wicked are the individuals that are walking contrary to Yahweh's path. That's the wicked. Okay. They're not walking around with a red jacket on and a cape, okay, and with horns. There are people who look just like you and I that are on a different path. You don't join up with them. You don't stay quiet. You say that which is right, even if you lose the relationship, because Yah is on our side. The question then would be, after we ask Ma, what is it? Now it's like, who? Me. Who is this? Who? And this is all because of Reuben. If you want to know who is literally going to go up to the mountain of Yahweh, the answer is found here in the book of Tehillim, chapter number 24. It says this: who, like we saw, who will champion me, who would do my cause, who may go up to the mountain of Yahweh? Who can stand in his holy place? Plural, those with clean hands and pure hearts. That's who's going to go. That's who's going to go. No one else that doesn't have clean hands and pure hearts are going to Yahweh's mountain. I need you to understand what he's saying. Who don't, those of us who don't make vanities the purpose of their lives. That means that you live with purpose. You're not trying to figure out what's the next best car you can buy. You're not trying to flash on people. You're not going out swearing oaths just to deceive people. You're saying stuff that's not true. You're lying like the brothers were doing. You're not trying to deceive your father. They will receive a blessing from Yahweh and justice from Elohim, meaning judgment, who saves them. Such is the character of those who seek him, of Yaakov, who seek your face. So it's about the character of an individual. The character of a person cannot do these things that are mentioned here. That's what he's telling you, that's how you get your hands clean. because you're not deceiving anybody. It talks about a pure mind, not just a pure heart. Purity is a huge part of this Torah portion. And I'm going to show it to you. Okay. So we see that Reuben has failed as a brother and as a firstborn. We see that. Now let's get into Yehuda. What does Yehuda's name mean?
Praise.
His name means praise. Thank you. His name means praise. You know, Yehuda had a lot of challenges. You know, Yehuda found out that he wasn't as righteous that he thought he was. You know, when he found out that he was the father of the two children, the twins that were out of his daughter-in-law, he found out that he was a liar and he was deceptive. And after all the things that he went through, and after he losing both of his sons, you know, and promising one son that he never intended to give, he actually goes back home during this time of famine. And he's back reunited with his brothers after he's learned some things. Okay. This is about development of the family. Okay. We look at Yehuda and say, well, you know, he's the one who's instrumental in saying, let's sell our brother. You know, why? Let's profit off of him. Why kill him? Let's just profit off of him. Let's make some money off of him. You know, let's do the side deal. But here now you see that things have changed. In context, the famine was so severe in the land, but when they had eaten up all the grain, which they had brought out of the Egypt, their father said to them, go and buy us a little food. So when they came back of the first trip and they were telling their father everything that happened, we don't know how long it was, but they had 10 bags. They had 10 bags of sacks of grain, and they had other things, the silver that, you know, they went to go buy with. And they came back, and I guess over time, I don't know how long it lasted for them and their families, but it lasted, you know, some time. And so now the famine is getting worse and worse and worse, right? And the famine is not just for Mizraim, it's for literally all the lands that surround it. It said all the earth. The earth was going through a famine, right? So Yisrael is like, okay, I'm not sending my son. That's what he just told Reuben. You're not getting my son, right? So listen what Yehuda says, which is interesting. Yehuda was straight up. He was straight with his father, right? And I don't know if it's just because of his experience when he was outside from his family, but he was straight up with his family. He was straight up with his father. He's learned some things, okay, which you and I can learn from. See, Reuben is unchanged and unstable, and he's still on that all, not now, and he's pointing a finger and blaming, and he's consequential, you know, and it's out of convenience. You know, he still didn't want to take responsibility. He put it on everybody else instead of him taking responsibility. Okay. Yehuda's not interested in killing his sons. This is what he said. Yehuda said to him, to his father, the man expressly warned us straight up, you will not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy food. But if not, right. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, you will not see my face. And that man, making reference to Yosef, you will not see my face unless your brother's with you. Straight up. Straight up. What he was saying to his father was true. He wasn't trying to embellish it. He wasn't being emotional. He wasn't being unstable about killing anybody or nothing. He didn't want to bring more misery to his family, right? So he's the one who's standing up, right? So he's standing up and he makes a reasonable request. He says to his father, Yehuda said to Yisrael's father, he says, send the boy with me and we will make preparations and leave so that we may stay alive and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me responsible. If I fail to bring him to you and present him to your face, let me bear the blame forever. Except for our lengthy delay, we would have been there again by now, meaning we've already been there. We're on the on the path of starvation right now. Okay. I want to bring out this point is that he was straight up. He made a reasonable request and he was talking no nonsense and he was straight. So the Most High is really looking for us to understand, and in times of distress and in times of suffering, decisions will have to be made, but they have to be reasonable. You understand? They have to be reasonable. They have to make sense because you're talking about life and death. You're talking about the family. He said, look, we're going to die. So you won't die and I won't die. And our children won't die, our little ones. Okay. But I'm going to give a guarantee. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm not going to put anybody else. I'm going to kill my sons or none of that. Okay. So hold me responsible. We can learn from that. Right. But in the Hebrew, it talked about this idea of when he talks about being responsible. I wanted to bring out this word because I saw it a lot in our Torah portion. You know, one of the words that was used in the Torah portion was talking about, you know, kala. Okay. Kala means when, you know, when it's the end, you know, it says like when all the abundance has ended. Okay. When it was completed. Okay. So kala means to be completed, but it has also other meanings as well. I should have spelled that the right way. Kala. Okay. Talked about when the famine, when all the abundance of the good years ended, they'd say kala. Okay. And how do you write that? You write that a kaf, a lamed, and hey, kala. Okay. There's this word right here is called yakal, which is a yod, a kaf, and a lamed. So you can see there's some connection here. Okay. It has the same root, right? So kala means to be completed at an end, right? But a yakal, right? If I was to spell it out, it'd be Y O-K-E-L or Y-A-K-E-L, yakal. Yakol, I'm sorry, no, it's yakol. It's just reverse, excuse me. It is a Y, yakol. Y-A-K-O-L, okay? Yakol. I don't know why I keep wanting to write a C because of cough. It's called yakol. All right, so this word right here means yakol, and I'm gonna break it down for you, okay? So yakol means something very similar to kala, okay? So the first letter is a yod, and a yod in the Hebrew means hand, okay? And right out here, yod means a hand. And a hand, and then it also has a grammatical meaning to mean he. What does a kaf mean?
Palm of the hand.
The palm of the hand, okay? All right, and it's open, okay? And the lamed, what does the lamed mean?
Staff.
Yes, it's a staff, which has to do with authority, okay? So when we have this, we have he or his hand is the staff, okay? So his hand is in the staff. The staff is used for walking, but the staff is also used for taming. You can tame the field with it, and you can tame an animal with it, okay? And you can also, too, if a child is out of pocket, you could go ahead and tame them, too, by putting a staff to them, okay? So people were hit with staffs, okay, to bring about the change that's necessary for the taming. The reason why you tame something is to prepare it, okay? So you're taming for the purpose of preparation. Okay, for preparation in order to do a work. If you have preparation in order to do a work and you're tamed and you're ready, right? So you've been prepared and you're tamed and you're ready. That means that you now possess what we would call, and I'm gonna erase all this so it'll be clear for you to see. You possess now what they call ability. So when Yehuda said, I will take responsibility, okay? You look at that word responsibility. If I was to take that and I were to go ahead and put it, slice it, it will be respond or response, meaning to respond. So I have the ability to respond. Okay. Taking responsibility means that I have the ability to respond, because a bill right here has to do with ability. Okay. A person that is ready to do the work has ability. The person who is able, okay, able is the one who's been tamed. So Yehuda, remember his arrogance that he said in chapter number 38, bring her out and burn her up and kill her. Right? And he found out that he was the liar and that he was the deceiver. And based on that experience that he had, Yah was taming him while he was off away from his family. He was preparing him for this very moment in which he's in right now. What you and I can learn from this is that we're in a situation that we're in as well, so we can end up being responsible people. Because now you and I have to show and prove that we have the ability to respond. And if you have the ability to respond, that means that you've been tamed by Yah, by the staff of Yah's hand, which makes you able now to do the work that you need to do. That's where your call comes from. You see, that's what it is. Okay. Within that, now he's ready. And I'll go back just to show you again that he said, I will bear the blame, but hold me responsible. You can hold me responsible. I have ability to do this. He didn't use the word responsible. The word that he used was called your call. I'm ready. I've been tamed. I understand now. See, so we can understand that in the midst of distress and chaos and confusion, there always has to be somebody in the room with a level head who is ready to do the work and who's been prepared. You can't have everybody looking at each other. Remember what his father said? Why are you guys sitting around here looking at each other? Because nobody wanted to take responsibility. Reuven didn't want to take responsibility. Yehuda's taking responsibility. That's the power of the Hebrew language. Take responsibility. Be the person of level head. Be available to Yah to be tamed. You understand? In our Torah portion, we found out about vessels. There was a lot of vessels that were used. And vessels represent people. The sacks that they had represent people. So there's a lot of questions that were asked and that you should have asked. There's a lot of questions you should have asked in this Torah portion, and you probably did ask. If you didn't ask him, you're going to ask him this morning. Here's some questions for us, okay? I want you to open your mind. But at camp that night, as one of them opened the pack to give fodder to his donkey, he noticed his money. There it was, just inside his pack. He said to his brothers, my money has been restored. There it is, right in my pack. And at that, their hearts sank. They turned trembling to one another and said, what is this that Elohim has done to us? Okay, so the discovery. Remember, we opened up the lesson today talking about that which is hidden and that which is in discovery. So in wisdom that Yosef has, he puts the money, which in here is called the silver. He puts the silver back into their sacks. They call them packs, but they're sacks. Okay, in their sacks, and he puts it in there. And then they notice or they discover that the money's back in those packs. And that discovery causes fear about what is Elohim or what has he done to us. Their hearts sank. They got a great amount of fear. When I came into this truth, everyone, and I discovered that I was one of the children of Israel, fear came over me. I asked the question, what is this? What is going on? You see? So it has to be this process of discovery, right? So Yah causes things to happen. in order to bring about this discovery. So if you're looking for something that's hidden, things have to be placed in what we would call discovery. You have to look for it. So the money is just a object. It's the silver. It's an object. And I'm going to tell you what that means in a second. Okay. So they got very scared and they said, what is Elohim doing? Okay. Matter of fact, they didn't call him by the name Yohe-Wahe because they didn't know him as Yohe-Wahe. They knew him as El Shaddai. His father mentions El Shaddai. They knew him as Elohim. Okay. When this happened, they came back and of course they told their father what it was. And now it's time for them to go back. Their father Yisrael answered them, if that's how it is, meaning after Yehuda said what he said to him straight up, he says, do this, take in your containers some of the land's best. Listen to this. I mentioned to you what the best is. The best has to do with Bakar. And best, Bakar means the firstborn, the first of something. Okay? The best. Because this is what only is going to be accepted. I want to be clear. And I cannot emphasize this. I'm being absolutely clear with you today. Yah is only accepting the best. He's only going to accept the best of his people. He's only going to accept the best of the grain. He's only going to accept the best of the animals. He's only going to accept the best of our minds. He's only going to accept the best of our time. He's only going to accept the best. The Bakar, that is the framework in which we're living under. And our Father, Yisrael, is communicating to us, and if we are listening, the best can only be the gift, which is called a minka. The only gift that Yah is interested in is receiving the best. And the best has to be go through the process of bakan, which is examination. So when he says to give the best of the products, that means that the sons, he commanded the sons to go and examine these products. You know, what did he mean? The Aramaic game and the opium and the pistachio nuts and almonds. You think it's about that? Like this man really needs pistachios? No, it's a gesture. It means that someone actually took their time to really look at it. Someone knows something good when they see it, when they smell it, when they taste it. You see? So these are things that has to do with the body, the healing resins, a little honey for what? For his mouth to taste it. I want you to know that I'm really about giving, I'm honest. The man that came back and told their father the story, the man is bent on what is true. Are you really spies? If you're not, bring your brother back. If you're not, do this. If you're not, leave one of your brothers in prison. If not, by the way, Shimeon was left in prison while they went back for all that time. He was still in jail. Why was he the one put in prison? Why was he mentioned? Because Shimeon has to do with violence. Yosef kept him because he's the one who showed the most violence towards him. How do we know that he was violent? His father said Levi and Shimon should not be together because they've introduced instruments of violence. They killed all those people in Shechem. These are murderers. They committed a massacre. You understand? So he kept him because he's the one who showed the most violence towards him. He kept him in jail. And that was for months. That's what I want you to give to him, the best. I want you to show him that we took time to give him something and honor and respect. So any minka, which is one of the gifts that you and I as Israel can give to Yah, is the best. Well, we don't have anything. I don't have any healing resins to offer to the Most High. I have nothing to offer anybody. Yes, you do. Yah tells us that if we would give him thanks, he'll accept it. If you would give him praise, he'd accept it if you did it, if it was the best of what you had. Praise him with openness and sincerity. Give him the best of your day. Give him the morning. I don't know if I brought this out early this week, but the boquer because that's how you say morning in Hebrew. And so boker, it's really boquer. Boquer has to do with the morning, because that's when they left with all their sacks. Okay. Boquer has to do with this idea of what they would call the ba quar. So you got bo quer and you got ba quar. Same letters, bet and a kof and a resh. Bet, a kof, and a resh. Same root, just different vowels. Okay. So I looked it up and I was like, okay, well, bo quer and ba quer, they share the same roots, the same letters, but what's the difference? Well, the boquar has to do with the animals. It has to do with cattle. And it has to do with what you do with the cattle. You have to get on your job early in the morning with the cattle in the morning. Okay. Right? That's what it is. But it also told you that work needs to be done in the morning. You can't wait until the afternoon to get work. Just like you can't wait to go pick up the manna because you had to get it in the morning. Because when it went in the afternoon, it was melting and it was gone. So the Most High has revealed that the morning has to do with work, but it also means that it means the idea of seeking. You and I are supposed to seek Yah in the morning. That's when you're supposed to seek him. That's when you're supposed to do your work, is in the morning. You're seeking of Yah and getting answers, because that's what we seek. We're seeking Yah for answers. You won't get your answers if you didn't do your work during the day and you try to get an answer in the middle of the day or night. It's just too much going on. So this is the idea behind best. You got to give Yah the best, and the best of us is the first in the morning when we're fresh. You're refreshed. You get up. There's no distractions. You might have to get up an hour earlier before you start your work or before you go get in the shower and get in your routine. You need to set some time aside for the Most High, and it needs to be in the morning where it's just you and him, and then you can seek him. That's when you do your work with Yah, like you're a cattle. Your preparation has to be in the morning, just like when you sought out the manna. You don't wait until the sun is the middle of the day before you get started. So you do your Torah portions in the morning. You set that time and you get out of bed and stop being lazy and be disciplined, because that's what we're supposed to do. You have to set that time aside, because Yah, again, and I'm going to keep hitting it, he's interested in the best of us. That's when you're at your best, is when you first wake up in the morning. You got a clear head. Okay. I have this idea about Yisrael's acceptance because of what Yehuda said to him. He came to an acceptance. Okay. And it's not until you're faced with life or death that you finally give in. And what I've noticed here is that when he says, take twice the amount of money with you, talking about the money that they told him that they brought back with him, and return the money. Return the money that came back with you in your sacks. Why? To show your honesty. Okay. Show that you're really not spies. It could have been an oversight. Yes, it could have been. Yes. And take your brother too. He's willing now to give Benjamin because of what Yehuda said, and get ready and go again to the man. Interesting enough, this is the first time he mentions El Shaddai. Remember, the Most High says, your fathers didn't know me by Yahweh. They knew me by El Shaddai. I introduced myself to them. So El Shaddai is the one who has the power of the breast, the one who's the burly one, the one who's the protector. May El Shaddai give you favor, give you Cain. We talked about Cain before, talking about favor and kindness and mercy and all those things, that he might give favor to you in the man's eyes, in his sight, so that he will release you, your brother, meaning Shimon, as well as Benjamin. So we know that you could go back into jail. Your brother's already in jail. And also now you're putting Benjamin in harm's way. And as for me, if I lose my children, lose them I will. He came to acceptance. What he came to acceptance about is that if I must lose my children, I must lose them. I will. Why? Because it's all in Yahweh's hands. It's in El Shaddai's hands. He finally acknowledged Yahweh in all of his trouble. And that's what you and I should learn from. Some things you just can't control. Some situations you just don't have no control over. You don't have control over the weather. You don't have control over the economy. You don't have no control over these things. You don't have control over people. You don't have control over certain situations and circumstances that might be faced your way. But one thing that he failed to do in his trouble was he didn't call upon the name of Yahweh. He didn't call on El Shaddai. He did not. This is the first time. So, by the way, I'm going to let you know, it's been 20 years since he's seen his son. It's been 20 years of distress in that household. It's been 20 years of chaos. It's been 20 years of confusion, 20 years of hurt and pain and misery and what they would call Ra. 20 years, and it's still going. So don't think that this walk that you and I are in is a comfy walk. It's a convenient walk. There won't be any problems. The Most High will send a famine. You understand? He will send distress. He will send these things in order to get our attention. Okay, so acceptance is where we're at. Yahweh had presented himself to the children of Israel in chapter, what did I do there? In chapter, I lost my train of thought. Chapter number 6 of Exodus. For that question someone just asked. Chapter number 6 of Exodus. He introduces himself. Okay. But also in chapter number 3 of Exodus, he tells Moshe in verse number 13, 14, 15, and 16 that this is my name. In Exodus chapter number 3, he tells us in chapter number 6, I never introduced myself to your family as Yahweh. I've always introduced myself to them as El Shaddai. Did they know Yahweh's name? Yes, they knew his name, but did he introduce himself in the glory of who he is to them in that way? No, he didn't. Okay, that's a whole nother study. But thank you for your question. So he accepts Yahweh, or according to text, El Shaddai. He accepts the creator, right? He mentions him now. But the question is that I know a lot of you had, why the sacks? Why? What did the sacks mean? The sacks were vessels. And in these vessels, you're able to spread open wide. Okay. So as you know, and I'm not an artist, and you know this, okay? So the sack is something that has ears and it has a mouth on it. Okay. Probably with some type of strings or something that you have to tie up to end up closing it. Okay. Right. And then here's the contents of what's in the sack, which would at that point would be the grain. And, you know, they put the silver up here at the top when he came back. Okay. So that's inside it. I told you, or I showed to you, that vessels really mean people. Okay. So what the vessels, the reason why there's sacks that are mentioned here, or these vessels, or these things to carry things in, is to give you the idea of what needs to happen. So when you have a sack, you can open the sack and it spreads open wide. What the creator is saying to us is that I'm going to spread you open wide. I'm going to find, because remember this idea of matzah has been mentioned too. Like if you were to find, you know, the silver goblet, wherever you find that silver goblet with, you're able to enslave them or they should die. You know, we matzah the silver that was left in our sacks. We found this, okay. So the sacks have to do with this idea of spreading open wide. That is actually the meaning of a sack, is to spread open wide. So the creator is using that to talk to you and I, to tell you, I'm going to spread you open wide because you have something inside of you. You have something inside of your sack. And I put it there so we can find out what's being hidden. Okay. Because the truth is hidden. The truth of who you are is hidden. But I'm going to do what I can to show you who you are, like Joseph is showing his brothers. So that's why the sacks were there. Why the grain? Why did the Most High choose to allow the famine to happen? Well, for the grain. What do we use grain for? We use grain for?
To eat, to feed, to stock.
To eat. So we're using a call, right? Which is food, and to eat, correct? And to feed the animal and to feed people, correct? Yeah. So the aleph is the strength, and the call again is what? What's the call again? It's the palm and the staff. The palm and the staff. And we use the palm and the staff to tame. Okay. We palm and the staff to lead. Okay. The call here means all. All what? You're fully ready. Everything has been settled. Okay. So you can see again that we have another call, right? So here it is. Let me write it in English so it can help everyone understand. The first one that we talked about was called ya call. Now we're talking about a call. I talked about kala. Still same root. Okay. Still there. Still got the lameds, you still got the cough, you got the cough, you got the lamed, you got the cough, you got the lamed. The only difference is the yod right here and the aleph right here. You see? So they all share the same root. That's in the Torah portion. So when we talk about your call, we talk about ability, or, we talked about a call, which is food, and to eat, which we have the ability to eat. That's why Yah has sent them to Mitzrayim, so they can have the ability to eat, because if you eat, you get to live. And then kala means that you're complete, okay? That it's at either a complete end. And when you eat, you're at a complete end because now you're satisfied. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay, so satisfied. You see? So there's connections there. Okay, so that's the grain is part of the discovery. Okay, the grain is part of the process of discovery. Yah is using grain for them to go by to discover what's in the sack. So there's grain in here. So the question is, why the grain? Well, I want to eat. I want the food. I want to be satisfied. I want to live. Right? Come on now, somebody answer me. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, let me tell you what the grain means. So sit down and prepare yourself. This is why the grain is in the sack, because the sack represents the person, because I'm spreading you open wide. Okay? Because I'm going to find out what's in you. Grain, from a biblical perspective, is called bar. Okay? So the bet and the resh. Okay? The bet has to do with the house. The resh has to do with the head. So the head of the house, or the head of grains. Okay? So this actually bar has to do with grain. That's the name for Hebrew for grain, is bar. Okay? So I got grain. When you would take the stalks of grain, you would take the heads of the grain off the top and you would crush that to make flour. But also too, they would take the stalks that were left over, the hard part that standing up straight, they'll take that and they would burn it, okay, to make what they would call potash or pot ash, okay? So the potash or pot ash is used to bring about soap for purity. That's how they would clean themselves. So the grain is in the sacks because the grain not only represents food, but it also represents purity. The Creator is looking for purity. The purity of one's speech, the purity of one's mind, the purity of one's thoughts. Purity. So the brothers are being examined. And what Joseph is trying to discover by the means of the Most High is to find out if their intentions are really pure. That's why he put the money back in there. And that's why he put the grain. That's why the grain, Yah decided to use the grain, because the grain is used for several reasons. It's for food, it's to eat, but it also too is to purify. Through what? Through like cleansing, to make you clean. Okay, it's to cleanse. So you can see agriculturally, when we talk about food, we talk about, can you take the food that you get from Safeway or store right now and take it and burn it and make soap out of it? Probably no, you can't. So now you're in the wrong place, right? So when we go back home and Yah brings us there, trust me, everything we gonna have, we're gonna be self-sufficient. It's beautiful. So you see how Yah's made things? Look it up. You don't believe me? Look at pot ash. The ash is from the pot, which is called soap. You understand? And guess what? To this day, what the food manufacturers are doing, they're taking the grains and they're making the soap, and is used for all type of pharmaceutical products and everything, cleansers and everything. But you and I will never get it. You understand? So purity is what or why the grain was there in our Torah portion. It's not just to eat. It's not just for food and life. It's for purity. Okay? Because purity should be found in what? Should be found in the vessel. Okay? And you are the vessel. So if you have grain, you can be able to sustain yourself, but you also need to deal with the idea of being pure. Okay? Your purity comes from what you do and what you say. Okay? And what you think. Why the silver? Why did he use the silver? Silver in Hebrew is called kesef. Okay? And silver was their monetary system. It was the money that they used for exchange. Okay? So it's that idea, but there's also another purpose behind silver. So silver is not just for money. Silver is also to represent something. What do you think it represents? He put the silver back in their sacks. So what he's after is he wants to find out if they're honest, right? Right? If they're really going to be dealing honestly, because he said you guys are, you're trying to uncover the nakedness, right? So let's find out if you're honest. It has to do with purity. It has to do with purity. Silver is only at its best when it's purified. And the purity of silver is done by fire. And it means to burn, just like the grain. It's for purity. You have to use the fire to burn the grain in order to get the soap, and to get the ash, so you can be pure, make yourself clean. When you're dealing with silver, you're dealing with purity. It has to go through a process, a purification. You understand? And I'm talking about intense heat. So the famine itself is a place of intensity, right? It's intense. Everything's intense. This whole situation is very intense. And Yah's letting us know through intensity and through chaos and trouble and distress, I'm going to find out. I need to put you under pressure. I need to throw you in the fire to find out whether or not you're going to come out and be tested like silver. I want to know if you're going to be pure. I got to purify you. Okay. There was an example that he does tell us about silver that I wanted to share with you right quick. And he mentions it, and I didn't get all the text there, so forgive me, because there's someone who's supposed to come and purify the sons of Levi. Okay. But here it says that the Torah of Yahweh is perfect. It's restoring the inner person. The instructions of Yahweh is sure, making the wise the thoughtless. The precepts of Yahweh are right, rejoice in the heart, and the mitzvah of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. Okay. I want to start right there about the mitzvah of Yah. When Yah spoke to the children of Israel, the mitzvah of Yahweh is a lamp. Okay. It has fire in it. Okay. And I don't know, I forgot to put the verse up here, but it talks about the commandment is the fire. Okay. The commandment is the fire. The commandment is the fire of Yah. And Yahweh's commandments make a person pure, it which burns away everything. So you can see the fire with the grain. You can see the fire with the silver to purify it. You can see the fire of the mitzvah to purify us. Everything has to go through a process of purification, and the purification is through fire. You see? I hope you can see this. And it enlightens the eyes because the flames of those things provide light for the eyes so you and I can see. The fear of Yahweh is clean. It's clean and enduring forever, right? The rulings which the Mishpatim or Yahweh are true, because this is what Yah is looking for. He's looking for the truth. A truth is like a pillar. A truth is a pillar, and it means that it stands and it can be relied upon. It means that it supports, like one should support their brother or their sister, their wife, their husband, their children. You see? This is the truth. You see? So the rulings of Yahweh are true. They're righteous altogether, more desirable than gold, much more than fine gold, and also sweeter than the drippings of the honeycomb. In context here, David, if you read Psalms 19, you would know that he begins to talk about the heavens and the earth and how they're the glory of Yah, but yet they say words. They speak words, but their words are not heard. So in the correct understanding, David is saying all these things because he's saying that these things here, right? The mitzvah, the Torah, the perfection of it, the precepts, the fear of Yahweh, the rulings of Yahweh, it makes one wise and all these sorts of things, the instructions, the Pekudei or the Kukim of Yahweh. All these have to do with the things that you and I think and say, which then we will do. What you think is what you say, and what you say is what you'll do. Those things need to be purified. There's a higher level. This is a high level as the firstborn of Yahweh. To make a person worthy of Yahweh, you have to go through the purification process. And Yah puts us in the position to find out whether or not you and I are being truthful. And if you're being honest. That's why it has to do with speech. Because a lot of times people say things and they don't really mean what they say. The true Torah was in his mouth, talking about the priest, and no dishonesty was found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and uprightness and turned many away from sin. A Kohen's lips should safeguard knowledge, and the people should seek Torah from his mouth, because he is the messenger of Yahweh, Zavaoth. But you turned away from the path. You caused many to fail in the Torah. You corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yahweh Zavaoth. We look at this and say, well, that's applying to the priests. I had nothing to do with that. You're saying we're priests? Yeah, we're priests. Here's the evidence of you being a priest. Now, if you would pay careful attention to what I say and keep my covenant, then you will be my own treasure from among all the peoples. For all the earth is mine, and you will be a kingdom of Kohanim, a kingdom of priests for me, a nation set apart. These are the words you are to speak to the people of Israel. You are a Kohanim. You need more evidence? Yashayahu says, but you will be called Kohanim of Yahweh, spoken as ministers to our Elohim. You will feed on the wealth of the nations and revel in their riches. You're a priest. In our Torah portion, we discovered that Yosef got what? What did Pharaoh give him? After he gave him a gold chain and a ring on his finger, what else did he give him?
A wife.
He gave him a wife. I wonder why. Why do you think he gave him a wife?
He wants to be a part of whatever Yosef has.
Yeah. He wants to be part of that, right? But also, too, is another idea behind a wife. The idea behind marriage has to do with what we call a kod. Okay? That's what marriage is. Marriage is a kod. Okay? A kod. You've been in my Hebrew class, you know that the aleph is a child root, and you know this is the parent. Okay? So if I look at the parent root right here, it's a ket and a dalet. This is the root of the fam. This is the family, the father and the mother of the word akkad. Okay. Akkad means to be one, right? So I want you to be one, right? Now, when I'm talking about this ket right here, I'm talking about a wall, and I'm talking about here, which is a door. So which is, this whole thing is called a wall door. When you have a door inside of a wall, which you would call your bedroom, okay, or any other room, right? There's a wall that has a door in it. Okay, so let me put my wall, and then I'm gonna put a little door right here. I got a door right here inside of my wall. That which is behind this wall is access through this door. You got to go through the door to get to the other side, to get on the inside. The inside is being separated from the outside by the door. Okay. Once the door is open, we have unification. I'm unified through that. And once I open the door, now the inside and the outside are unified. They have become one. Okay. They become one. When you look at a man's body, he's outside. When you look at a woman's body, she's inside. Okay. Follow me? When those two come together, you're united as one. Okay. The Most High is interested in the akkad, in the wall of the door, because what he has, the idea behind marriage, has to do with that which is on the earth and that which is in the heaven. The heavens are above and the earth is below. In between both heaven, or the heavens, I'll just put it here, the heavens and the earth, is mankind. And what the Creator wants to do is he wants to give access between these two places. He wants some access. Okay. And we know that this access is given to mankind. Mankind has access, and he has he can be transported from the heavens through mankind to the earth. Okay, because that's where man is at. Man is used as the piece in order to get that which is heaven to the earth. Okay. That process happens through a man entering into the woman. That which is in the heavens then is transferred from the heavens down into the earth through the man going into the woman. Okay. When that individual, when those two people come together, the two shall be akkad, meaning that the two people, when they come together, the outside and the inside get together, they're going to create a akkad. They're going to create one. That one is called a child. That child will then go find somebody to join to another child, and then they're going to create something, and they're going to create another one. Okay. But this is all the working of the heavens. This is all working with the Most High says. But once that one grows up and it dies and goes down, they go back down into the ground, And then, of course, that spirit goes right back up to heaven where it was at first. And that's the cycle. See? So there's a cycle going on, but there's a beautiful thing that's found in this idea of akkad that I want to share with you, besides what I just shared. Okay. I told you earlier that in our Torah portion, I found this word kala. Kala means a bride. That's what a bride is. Okay. B-R-I-D-E. Bride. Forget my writing. That is so ugly. Bride. Okay. So a kala is a bride. A kala, okay, let me write in Hebrew, is a kaf, a lamed, and a hey. You can see that word call in there. Okay. So what does call mean? Call means tamed. Call means ready. Call means able. Call means ready to do the work that they need to do. That's a kala. Okay. The one who's responsible for taming the bride is her father and her mother, not her husband. Her husband's not interested in taming. So I don't want you women to get upset with me. This has nothing to do with a man taming a woman. The kala has to be tamed before she gets to her husband. Like everything and everybody else. The man, the son needs to be tamed by the staff, the palm of the hand and the staff to tame, okay, to make ready. Because if she's a kala, she's supposed to also be yakol. Yakol means have the ability to do the work. We also saw a call. So she should be able to prepare food, not just to eat it, but to prepare it. You understand? To go pick the grapes, to go do the work in the field. That's what it is, okay? Provide for her family. Listen to this. Joseph was given a woman, a kala, a bride, because she was added. And his name means to add, because his name means to add or to increase. A kala is given to add. She's added to make someone complete. So we know that the man by himself is not good, that he is alone. He has to have someone added to him to make him complete. Okay? So a kala is given to, because she's complete, she's ready, but he's not complete until he has a kala. You understand? Till he has someone who makes him complete. We're not complete as men until you've been added to through a woman who's been what? Tamed by her family in order to make her ready for the work so she can complete you. Not to compete, not to fight, but to add a sense of completeness to you. Because you by yourself, you can't accomplish or do the work that the Most High has said. The do is to come together to two to equal the one child. So you can continue the process. So you can tame that child and bring that child, whether male or female, and add them to another child, and then that two will create one. And that's the process. Everybody needs to go through this process, okay, in order to be complete, because that's what the Most High wants. And it means to come to an end. That's the end. That is the goal. The end doesn't mean the finality. It means the goal in this sense. The goal of having children is to give your child to somebody that you can add to them to complete them and complete their life. A woman without a husband is a woman she's not complete. A man without a woman is incomplete. You see? That's what it is for, okay? But I want to give us a reminder. The reminder is that when Yah had offered us to marry us, he says that all the people answered as akkad. They answered as akkad. Everything Yahweh has said, we will do. That's what they said when Yah gave them a proposal. Everything that Yahweh has said, we will do. Moshe reported the words to the people, to Yahweh. Whatever they said, okay? So there was a proposal, like in a kala, marriage proposal, okay? So in this proposal, because that's your reminder that you were proposed to, okay? The proposal was this. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself, okay? Now, if you would pay careful attention, I put it in bold because this is the proposal. You need to pay careful attention to what I say. Not Peter, James, John, not Timotheus, Luke, none of these people. Okay, not your Jewish rabbis, not the Talmud, not your sages, nobody. You pay careful attention to what I said. And keep my covenant. Then you will be my own treasure from among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you will be a kingdom of Kohanim, as stated before, for me, a nation set apart. These are the words. These are the words that you are to speak to the people of Israel. Okay, so that's the proposal. The proposal was given, right? It was presented. Moshe came and he summoned all the leaders of the people and presented them with these words. Because I asked, well, what words? The words of the proposal, which Yahweh had ordered him to say. Okay? All the people answered as akkad. Everything Yahweh has said, we will do. Moshe reported the words of the people to Yahweh. So the question is what is the foundation of the proposal? The foundation of the proposal was that you would pay careful attention, okay, which is Shemoah, and guard what I said. 1, 2. That's the proposal. You and I were taught that it was the 10 words, what they would call erroneously the 10 commandments. No, it's not. No, it's not. The proposal was that you and I would Shemoah Shamar. Okay. So let me explain the Shemoah. And Shemoah is the word Shema. The Shin, a Mem, then they have a Wa, and then an Ayin. Okay. But we know the root is a Shem and an Ayin, like Shema. Okay. But Shemoah means that it's called a participle, meaning it's an ing. So it's always continuing. And what does Shema mean? Well, Shema, somebody tells what Shema means.
Hear, obey.
Hear, obey. Okay. It means to listen. It's not just to listen only, but to listen, hear, and obey. Okay. Constantly, ing, presently. Okay. And forever. Okay. The Shamar, write it out right quick. If you notice, this has a shin, this has a shin, this has a mem, this has a mem, this has an ayin, this has a resh. Okay. So we have Shema, and then we have Shamar. Okay. That's what we have. The only difference is these two letters right here. Okay. So I need you to constantly, always, and the rest of your life, to listen and obey what I said. I also need you to Shamar means to guard what I said. That's what I need you to do. Now, if you and I fail to do the Shamar or the Shemoah and the Shamar, Yah is going to tell you what it is when you fail to do this. And he's going to show it to you. Because these are commands. These are commands. So I'm going to show you what happens when you don't do what he says. Forgive my writing. The two letters on the end are different. This is an ayin, meaning to see, and this is a resh, meaning the head. Okay. In our Torah portion, we had a word called the famine. The famine is what you would call evil, and it's called Ra, which are these two letters. The resh in English should be R-A. Okay. Or better yet, so you won't get confused, R-A. Okay. A resh and an ayin. All right. So in our word Shema, you have an ayin and you have a resh. Okay. Which are those two letters. Okay. When you put them there, a resh and an ayin again. Okay. If you and I don't listen or continue to listen and we don't obey in terms of guarding what Yah says that what you're doing is evil. That's your evil. If you don't accomplish the Shemoah and the Shamar, you are doing evil. You understand? If you're not listening and you're not guarding what Yahweh said. So let me put it in proper context for us so you can really understand. If this is our wedding proposal, I'm going to go back so I can show you, because you need to see this. That's the foundation. The foundation of our proposal is that you would listen to these words. Okay. Yah's telling you and I, if we do not listen and obey and we don't guard his covenant, okay, he says to what I say. It's what I say. Okay. So if you're not listening and obeying what I say and you're not guarding my covenant, then you won't be my own special treasure. You understand? That means that you are evil to me because you're not fulfilling these two commands right here. So if you don't do that, okay, that's the proposal. So in essence, what he's really saying to you and I is that our marriage is based upon you You accepting, because you said, I'll do what you said. All the people answered as one, everything that Yahweh has said, past tense, we will do. Prior to this, in chapter number, before chapter number 20, where the words that he did speak to them, is it found in chapter number 22, which we 20, which we call the Asar HaDavarim, which are the 10 words of the covenant. So it's not that he's saying, you know, it didn't matter how many words it was. He's saying that you agreed to do what I said. You agreed to listen to what I said. You agreed to guard what I said. You understand? So it doesn't matter what the words were after what I said, because the foundation of our relationship and our marriage is based upon these two principles here. These two things. You need to listen and obey what I said, and you need to guard what I said. Okay? It's not on 10 words. It's not on 613 commandments. It didn't matter if it was 50,000 commands. You said that you would do whatever I said, whatever I told you to do. And you promised that you would listen and obey continually. And you promised that you would guard what I said. That's what the Kala is. That's what she's supposed to do, because that's our job. This was a marriage proposal between Yah and his people. You understand? So it's not, well, you know, I could do this part, but I want to do this part. No, it's not. It's about, you said everything that Yahweh has said we will do. Moshe brought this down to them. He brought down to what Yah had said, which was this. Yah said these words. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. That's number one. That's what Moshe told them. You saw what I did to the Egyptians. Why do you mention this? Because Yah is saying that I'm your call. Yah is telling us right now that I'm your call. And as a kala, you have a right to see if someone is able to show you something. If you're going to marry a man, looking at this pattern right here, he has to have ability. He has to be able to prove to you that he has the ability to do something. Like Yah says, you've seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I carried you. I proved to you that I brought you to myself. I have ability. I have strength and I have power. I don't want you to follow me because I haven't done anything for you. I've done this for you. I delivered you from your enemies. So now, if you will pay careful attention, Shemoah, to what I say and keep my covenant, then you will be my own treasure from all the peoples, and all the earth is mine. So I have ability and I can take care of you. And then I will make you, okay, a kingdom. You will be a kingdom of Kohanim for me, a priest, a nation set apart. These are the words. Not thou shalt not, thou shalt this, no. That I don't care what anything else that I said, because it's the whole covenant, and your agreement with me is based on these two things here. Pay careful attention to what I said and keep my covenant. So it doesn't matter if I said 1,000 words to Moshe after that. You said you would do them. You see? So that's the agreement. That's the foundation. Okay? Shemoah, Shemar. That's another part that the Most High wanted to show us about this. Okay? Finally, we have what they would call Mequates. And Mequates means the end. So we're at the end of our lesson. Our lesson today is about the end. At the end, Yehuda said, there's nothing that we can say to my master. He's talking to Yosef after he came back. And they found that goblet in their sacks. He says, how can we speak? There's no way we can clear ourselves. Elohim has revealed our secret, your servant's guilt, because that's the goal. The end is to reveal our guilt. That which is hidden is going to be revealed. So here we are, my master's slaves. Both we and also the one in whose possession the cup was found. But he replied, heaven forbid that I should act in such a way. The man in whose possession the goblet was found will be my slave. But as for you, go in peace to your father. So the Torah portion ended with this statement, which we're going to follow up on next week. Okay. There's someone I want to point out to you right quick about the hands. Okay. Because he says Elohim has revealed your servant's guilt. And this idea about the hands is something I want to tell you about. Yehuda's name is praise. And praise is used with the hands. This is the reason why he was used. He was used because often when we think about Yehuda, we think about praise, but the hands also has to do with confession. Okay. So in his hands, he threw his hands up. Remember, they tore their clothes. They came back and they were in Yosef's presence, and they still don't know who Yosef is. This right here, this word revealed right here, has to do with revealing, making something known. To make something known has to do with the hands, called yada, okay, or yodea. Yada has to do with the hands, like a yad is a hand. A yada is to know. So now Elohim says, I want them to know. So I put you through all these different things and all these different tests to find out who you are so you can know who you are. Now, finally, they confess their guilt before not only themselves, but they confess it before the person that they offended. So now that's why I mentioned the hands, because the hands are not just for praise, but the hands are for confession. Yah tells us that if they will confess, then they will confess. You will use your hands. You will confess. You would throw your hands up in the air and you say that their misdeeds and those of their ancestors, which they've committed against me in their rebellion, they will admit that they went against me. That's what I want them to do. I want them to confess, and I need them to admit. And at that time, I will be going against them. At that time, I will be going against them. Why? We're in the land of their enemies, and because they've gone against me, bringing them into the lands of their enemies. But if their uncircumcised hearts will grow humble, meaning their minds, right? And they are paid for the punishment for their misdeeds, then I will remember my covenant with Yaakov and also my covenant with Yitzchak and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. Okay. So confession for us is a big part of what Yah wants us to understand, is that I'm going to make it known to you what you did. Okay. But after I make it known to you, you have to confess it. So when trouble's in your life, you need to make some confession. Okay. Because you can't confess to me, right? Or you can't praise me without confession, because Yehuda's name means to praise, but confession comes before praise. Confession comes before praise. Okay. And reason why Yehuda was chosen is because he learned his lesson and he was a strong leader. And finally, his father tells him, which we're going to learn probably in another week or so, that Yehuda, thou art whom thy brothers shall praise. The reason why his brothers are praising him is because he stood up, he took the cause, he stood up for that which was right. He made a confession about that which was wrong on behalf of his brothers. He took the position of being a leader among his brothers. When he was standing in front of Yosef, he became a leader in front of his father. He proven himself and said, I have ability. And so those who have ability to confess are the ones who should be the leader. Yah's not going to make us the leaders of anything until you and I make a confession, until we admit, and that is worthy of a leader, to be leadership. Okay. So he says, and your hand shall be in the neck of your enemies, and your father's children shall bow down before you, just like they bowed down before Joseph, right? Like his dream was. So what we can understand from this is that you cannot, because Yehuda's name means praise, one should not be able to praise Yah until they first come to confess to Yah. So before you throw your hands up to the Most High and give him praise, you and I should confess our faults and confess our guilt and confess our problems before the Most High. That way you and I could be worthy of being leaders before the Most High. So that's your lesson today. So ability If you're going to have ability, you should have the ability to be able to stand and champion Yah's cause and have the ability, the Yakol, to be able to do the right thing. You should have the ability to tell the truth. Okay. That's what this is about. That's what this lesson is about. To let you know all the problems that our family has, but also too, that Yah's interested in revealing the truth about us. In the end, the truth is going to come out. So, we can hide and we think we're getting away with it, and it ain't happening, for them for 20 years. They were able to live that lie. For 20 years, they deceived their father, they deceived their wives, their children. They were going around lying that whole time. Somebody said, well, what about our uncle? What about our brother Yosef? Where's he? Oh, he died. He was eaten up by an animal. They told that lie for a long time. You understand? So this is what the Creator's letting us know through our Torah portion this week. Anyone have any questions, concerns, contributions, additions, subtractions? Crickets. Praise be to the living Elohim. I thank you today for your time. I thank you for your attendance. I thank you for your willingness to study. I just wanted to show you more, and try to get your mind to wrap around the idea that these portions are for us to learn and to see what Yah is doing in their lives and bring these things out. I mean, when I was studying, I didn't see this. I was like, there's some things that are hidden, but the truth is going to come out. And I want you to confess it. I want you to confess it, right? I'm bringing the fire of the Torah to you in order to purify you, not so you can put it in your back pocket. Okay. I'm not introducing you to concepts about marriage so you can think about, well, let me tame my wife. No. Your wife is supposed to be tamed before you get her. Okay. That's what it's supposed to be. Now we're in exile. She wasn't tamed. So, by her parents. So, and she don't know what's up. So you really can't blame her. I'm just being honest. Just like she can't blame you. You got your issues, you can't. We can't blame each other. We got to look at what we can do to be better right now. Okay. And when we start off in this walk with the Most High, we need to understand that those are the two things that's most important to him, is that you will shemoah, that you will continually listen to what I'm saying forever. Okay. And also too, that you will guard what I said. That's the foundation of our relationship with the Most High. And that's the foundation of what a marriage should be. Okay. That's what it should be, according to what we read. Okay. Because there is really, if you notice, there is no really instructions on in marriage in the Torah, except for a man can't marry, a woman's sister while she's alive, and he can have another wife and all sort of things. But when it comes to the instructions, we should go that's our format. Our marriage proposals should match the marriage proposal of the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And if a person that does do that does do what you say, is the person that trusts you. And so the reason why the relationship between Yah and his people didn't work is because they didn't trust him, even though he did everything he did for them. So he says, the problem's not with me, the problem's with them. He said, you guys have been playing me. You got other gods. So that means that you haven't been listening to what I said, and neither have you guarded what I said. It didn't matter if I told you 2 words. Remember, go read it, chapter number 19. He ain't spoke no other words to him. He didn't tell him, about the Moedim. He didn't tell him about the commandments. He didn't mention nothing. So the relationship is based upon obedience to what I say. And if you want to get your marriage right, that's what it is. And if you are going to be the leader, you should understand, you got to be a proven leader. You can't be deceitful. You can't have the baged. The baged is the clothing. You can't cover and be treacherous to your wives. You can't do that kind of stuff. Okay? Because anything that's hidden will be revealed. And Yah doesn't like the idea of us hiding things. So we have to get that out. And so whatever is hidden is going to come out. And so let's get it out by looking at the Torah and confessing it to the Most High, and don't play dumb. Just say it is, I made these mistakes, and I'm willing not to go and do it again. Okay. So after this incident, which we're going to follow next week, they didn't make that mistake again. They did not make that mistake again. Not those brothers. They didn't. They did not make that mistake again. But they had to be revealed. Praise be to the living Elohim. Those of you who are in my Hebrew class, I will be seeing you later on this afternoon, probably around 4 o'clock or so on Pacific Standard Time. Hallelujah. Anyone else?